Yo, yo, yo! What up, what up, what up? It's your boy S. Reedy, man, coming to you live. Well, we're not really coming to you live, but I'm going to say we're coming to you live because it sounds really good. It's June 10th. Yes, June 10th. The year is 2020. And this is the SDR podcast, man. I am your host, S. Reedy, a.k.a. Sean Reedy, a.k.a. SDR, a.k.a. Mr. Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll himself. How's everyone doing, man? How are you? That's what I want to ask you right now. How are you, the listener? If you are listening and you feel so inclined and you feel like you're comfortable doing this, I want you to find me on social media. I'm not hard to find. I want you to DM me how you're doing. It's a hard time for everyone right now, man. 2020 is about halfway over. And hopefully whoever flipped on whatever the chaos switch was in the year 2020 just turns it off real quick. And so we can just, take a nap for the next 6 months. Because it's just been wild. It's been crazy for everybody. And even before the lockdown, even before, the Black Lives Matter protests became a very super prominent worldwide movement. It was a hard year for everybody, man. It's been a hard 6 months. Even just everyone in their my friends in their own personal lives has been really hard. I'm not even freaking done grieving Kobe Bryant yet. You know what I mean? Life's been moving so fast lately. It just seems like it's been moving just way too fast for anyone to properly be able to react. And like I said, I'm not even done grieving Mac Miller, for being honest. and I'm still processing all my emotions that go into everything that we're dealing with right now, and it's just so much. And me and Kelly went to a rally the other day, and at some point, we were marching. This was my third rally I'd been to in a week. It was very hot, and I was very dehydrated, and we were hearing we were hearing everyone do their chants and everything, and I gotta say, it was my very small town of Norman, Oklahoma. There's about 100,000 people who live here. And it was very cool, very sweet and touching to see my predominantly white city get out there and make our voices heard and let, the small black population that we do have here, a lot of them showed up. We let them lead the way. We let them speak. We were there to listen. And it was very beautiful. But about halfway through marching there, it was funny. I was in the middle. We were kind of in the middle of this crowd, and we could hear 3 distinct chants going on at different times, and it was getting disorienting. And we show up, and I'm watching this woman on stage speak. And I'm just starting to feel weird at this protest is what I'm trying to say. I'm starting to feel weird at this march. I'm glad I'm there. I want to be there, but I'm starting to feel weird. And and this woman gets on stage, and mind you that this is at about 10:30 a.m. And I don't normally wake up that early, so I'm already kind of disoriented as it is. This lady gets on stage, starts speaking her piece, and it's beautiful, and it's powerful, and it's moving, and it's touching, of course. And I start just looking at her, and I'm looking around at the third protest I've been to this week, and I'm like, okay, I need to slow down, dude. I need to relax. I need to just chill out, because this woman was talking on stage, and it was very moving, and I wanted to cry, and I was holding back tears. And I realized, I was like, oh my God, dude, I haven't even let myself cry about any of this. I don't know if I said this on the last podcast, but I was like, oh my God, I haven't even let myself cry about this. I haven't let myself grieve about this. I haven't let myself thoroughly work through these emotions. I've just been angry. That's kind of how I deal with things in life, man. I get angry. I don't know if anyone else can relate to that. But the minute something bad or unfair happens, or like there's action that needs to be taken, I take that action with just anger and maybe a little bit of hostility too. And it's something I need to work on. It's something I need to get through, because the thing is, I go straight to anger and then I never deal with it ever again. I'm angry about it, then I put it in a box and I kind of put it to the side. And I think what really is just like the root of my problem, and I was even talking to this, me and Kelly's dad, we got coffee on Monday, and this discussion kind of came up, and he was talking about how, like, when he was younger, he used to think that his hostility and his impatience was just a sign of how much he cared, was just like, it was just vindictive of like how much this thing mattered to him and that it needed to happen. And so I'm going to be impatient because that means that I'm like working to make things better. And honestly, that's just not the case, man. Impatience is the enemy for sure. It does nothing but hurt yourself. Like, because everything takes time. And everything takes time. And so to not allow the time it takes for certain things to happen, it's toxic. And it makes you hurt yourself because you just think that everything should be fixed immediately. But for anything to be done right, it takes patience. And that's kind of what, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were talking about, like, wow, like the Black Lives Matter movement really has kind of been inspiring a lot of change. It's been really cool to see, all this really great stuff coming from it, like, even though it's kind of hard. Maybe for the first half of 2020 was supposed to be really hard. That way the second half of 2020 can be a victory march. It can be like a victory cry for everybody. And quite frankly, I mean, like, while that might be a beautiful sentiment, like, I don't see that being the case. It just doesn't seem like, because things are really hard right now. We're still going through a lot right now. I mean, there's a lot of people exposing their true colors. Police are still acting very brutally against otherwise peaceful people, and getting arrested for it, and thank goodness that they are. And I guess while we're sitting here talking about it, absolutely shout out to that big fat freaking loser who shoved over an old man, watched him bleed on the ground, walked away like nothing happened, and reported it as he just tripped and fell on his head. And then of course he was lying, because there's video evidence of you shoving a 75-year-old man to the ground, who had a helmet in his hand, by the way. And I didn't realize this until I was watching the video again yesterday. The man had a helmet in his hand, dude. He was sitting here trying to say, I mean, like, this is just what, I have concurred from this. He was sitting there trying to say, yo, I have one of your riot helmets. Like, I don't know where you need me to put this or whatever, but I found one of your riot helmets. And then he gets shoved to the ground and starts bleeding out from his head. That's the state of what we live in right now. And then the police officer says that he tripped. And the only reason he got in trouble is because someone was filming it. God, I'm so thankful that we have ways of filming. Like, we just have a high definition camera in our pocket at all times now, because apparently we need it. Apparently that is like the most useful thing in our current world today, because constantly the police would just be getting away with all this stuff that's been going on if no one was there to film it. That police officer that murdered George Floyd wouldn't even be in jail if no one was there to film it. It's like, geez, man. So all that to say is that it's been hard. It's still going to be hard, man. Stuff like that's going to continue to happen. And it's not just going to change overnight just because we're all unified and we're ready to go. It's got to change over time. So honestly, I think the rest of this year is probably going to be really, really rough. But hopefully we're going to get something good out of it. And so, big shout out to that loser who freaking pushed over that 75-year-old man just trying to help you. And an even bigger shout out to those 50 police officers that quit to support you. Good riddance. Thank you very much for quitting. No one needs you. And please jump off a gigantic cliff at your nearest convenience. Look, I know I've been talking about this stuff for the last few weeks. I know that maybe you don't want to hear me talk about Black Lives Matter and everything that's been going on in the news for another hour for a third week in a row. And if that is the case, well, you're in luck because I'm not talking about that this week. I did want to get just the recent news stuff out of the way because it's important. And it's important to document, you know what I mean? Even if one person 10 years from now listens to this podcast, it's going to be interesting for them to be able to like walk through just a regular guy's thought process through what was going on in this weird, strange time and this weird, strange part of history. And so I wanted to go ahead and just get the important news stuff out of the way. So that's that. And you guys know where I stand on this too. I just wanted to I want to say all that to say that going back to, what I was talking about, just how, kind of exhausted I've been and just how I haven't been able to work through my emotions and everything. You guys know at this point where I stand. Okay, I will always stand with the oppressed. I will never ever in my life stand with the oppressor, no matter what kind of details or what kind of, microisms of any situation is. I understand that there are quote unquote bad apples in the Black Lives movement, just like there are quote unquote bad apples in the police department, even though there's apparently 57 bad apples in the Buffalo Police Department. And also just all these bad apples just keep popping up on my newsfeed over and over again, just shooting innocent people and assaulting innocent people, and they all get arrested for it. Surprisingly, there's just thousands and thousands of bad apples. I digress. I will always stand with the oppressed is what I'm trying to say, never the oppressor, and that's just the way my whole life is going to be. And you can hold me to that. You guys know where I stand. Okay, so now that I've said everything that I have to say about where I stand, how I stand, the way I will stand, I will continue to sign petitions. I will continue to donate to organizations that will help out people of color get the right justice reform that we need. I will continue to inform people of what's going on in the news. But you guys know where I stand, okay? I think the opinions here are done, and it's time for me to just sit back and listen. It's time for me to just listen and see what the people of color in my life want me to do, see what the people of color in my life are going through right now, making sure that they're getting the emotional support they need, and making sure that I am in a healthy enough mental space to do what I need to do to make this world a better place. So that's it on that, man. Black Lives Matter, of course, forever and always. Well, let's get to the meat and potatoes of this episode, baby. The meat and potatoes. As you guys know, I talked about it a little bit last week. Put out a brand new EP on Bandcamp. It's called Sketchbook. The EP is 3 tracks long. I wanted to get into it. Wanted to break down the EP a little bit further. I might repeat a little bit of the stuff I said at the tail end of last week's episode. But I wanted to get into my thought process when I was writing these songs, why they sound the way they do, and I just wanted to get into it, man, and why I released it the way I did. I wanted to talk about that too. So, let's get into it. This is the Sketchbook EP, and let's go ahead and give it a track-by-track breakdown, starting with track number 1, Jolly Good Show. Poltergeist, feed me lies, give me me as you say goodbye. Pierce the sky, little lies, I am not the one to try. Crawling through my skin in anxious aura, bending over, letting master tear the flesh up off his brain. I lost control, I wanna feel like I'm a pawn. I can never ever take another loss. I just wanna feel numb and hide it all. When I stretch, my mind falls apart. How you deal when the world is caving in? So me and Low Moon, we met up at a Starbucks one time in Norman to talk about kind of where we're going, where we're moving forward, and what we're doing with our careers next. It was about a year ago. And I kind of expressed my feelings on like a sound change and everything. And I really wanted to like start making more aggressive music, more shouty music. I even was debating on changing my rap alias at the time. I was thinking about changing my rap alias because I don't know if I really actually talked about it on this podcast before, but S. Reedy is a horrible, horrible rap name. It's terrible. Like, you always have to explain how to spell it. That's the thing about it. You could never tell someone, yeah, my name's S. Reedy, look it up, and they A, know what you're saying, and B, know how to spell it. It's the worst rap name of all time. It doesn't say anything. It doesn't mean anything. It's just the first letter of my first name and my last name. And I don't know why I've kept it this long, but anyway, that's completely besides the point. Just having, a friggin' meeting with myself right now live on this podcast, I guess. Regardless, we talked about that I want to start making more aggressive music. I wanted to kind of change my sound a little bit, maybe change my name. And, this was the product of the beginning stages of me thinking I was about to rebrand, was writing this song right here. And I already had written a song called So It Goes on my last album that was more aggressive. And I got a lot of really positive response from that song. So I thought, maybe that's the direction I need to go in. Turns out, not so much the case. Turns out that wasn't really where my heart was at the time. But it came out with a pretty good song called Jolly Good Show. And I was explaining all this to Lone Moon inside this Starbucks. And Lone Moon immediately whips out her laptop, starts goofing around in Logic, just kind of making something up. Kind of like, so what do you want this to sound like? And I was like, I'm going to be real with you. I kind of want it to sound like the song Dark Knight by Jack Harlow. There we go. Yeah. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. And I'm not even embarrassed to admit that at this point because it was a year and a half ago about before Jack Harlow really blew up, and two, because like this is a free mixtape, and so not really worried about what's going on, and we have like a ton of samples in the other songs too, and so anyway, I'm not afraid to admit that I directly ripped off Jack Harlow's song Dark Knight when we made this song. And I was like, just make a beat that sounds exactly like this. And that's where I want to get started. And so Lone Moon bodied it like she always does. And I just got to work. I got to writing on this song. There were about 3 different versions of this song. I ended up on this one that I originally wrote for a collaboration between me and the Palmer Squares, which just ended up not happening. Me and the Palmer Squares were going to do a song together for a while, and then long story short, it just didn't work out. I mean, it just didn't work out. And I had this verse from that song that obviously wasn't going to come out. So I was like, hey, I really like this verse. Why don't I just put it on this song? So I did, and then I added the little second verse kind of after what you would call the hook in this song, and then I added on the spoken word poetry part at the end that I had written for a while. Bada bing, bada boom, you got Jolly Good Show. I wrote this song at like a pretty, this is actually, I wrote the song that I was talking about for the Palmer Squares. It ended up being this song. Probably about the beginning of this year, and I wrote it right as kind of my life and the people around me and like our lives are just kind of falling apart a little bit, I guess, and for personal reasons that I obviously like kind of won't go into here, but there was a lot of anxiety, a lot of I don't even know, a lot of just resentment, a lot of anger, a lot of feelings, a lot of stuff just going on all at the same time, dude. And so like I just and that was just the people around me. You know what I mean? That was just my immediately friends and family. We're just going through so much. I personally wasn't going through a lot. My relationships all remained super stable, and I was just kind of, I was going through stuff of my own, but I kind of was putting that all on the back burner to try to help the people around me. And I wrote it around the same time I did Abstract Gravity. The chorus of Abstract Gravity is, I don't know what you want. I can see you stand with a look so telling, I can't be what you want. And that was the really simplified version of how I was feeling. And this song probably expands upon those same feelings I was going through to like a very, very big extent. I mean, like, and like it's all kind of abstract in order to just kind of defend myself from my own feelings, I guess, to like say what I'm feeling without letting anyone know what I'm actually going through. But saying the whole, I want to feel like I'm a pawn, I could never ever take another loss, I just want to feel numb and hide it all, when I stretch my mind falls apart. This song's just about like just taking on the burden of being a part of someone's healing process. And not only that, but like trying to free yourself of the guilt that comes with not being able to be somebody's everything, not being able to be everybody's everything. So, bottom line, this song is about trying to be there for people when you lack the requirements to calm them down, to help them become in a better mental state, but still trying to like be a part of that healing process that I was talking about. And this was the song. So there's a narrative behind this little EP, and it's really dumb and stupid, but basically I wanted to write from the perspective, the dog you see on the album cover that I drew myself. Thank you so much for all of your kind support and saying, Sean, you should be a multi-million-dollar artist with these drawings and album arts. I know, dude. I know, man. I know, but my heart is in the music. It's just in the music. The narrative is about the little dog on that planet, and he's looking off into space wishing he could get away, because on this planet it's just him and it's just his owner, and his owner makes him do really horrible, heinous things, and he basically just treats this dog like his slave, and the dog's fed up with it and he's ready to leave this planet. And so so this song was kind of the mental space that this dog that I'm writing about, I guess, in my head. So like I understand that this narrative is not going to exactly come off and be super transparent with people, but this is just the way I wanted to write it, just to kind of help myself get into a different mode of writing lyrics. But basically this is this character's battle cry to finally break free of the tyranny that he has been going through. And so that fall chorus that I'm writing about is just fall, like, just jump off the planet, just float into space, because it's better being nowhere than it is being here. And so I feel like through writing, through my own personal experience, and through attempting to be sort of narrative driven with this EP, I was able to like let this song and all the other songs on this EP kind of get taken into whatever context the listener wanted to take it into, and really be able to put their own lives, put their own perspectives onto the things that I'm talking about. And this song is really cool, and it bumps, and it bumps in the whip, even if you don't want to get into the darker themes behind it. And I don't know, it's really good. F it. Let's move on to What's the next song called? Dummy! Living legend in the making, presently attaining all the life there is to live, cordially maintaining. Circles how I'm swimming through this life, it's not vacant. Constant and attaining of the rules you only made up. I stay up, tread your water, buddy, say some. I'm living. So if we are to continue the narrative of Sketchbook EP through the little dog, the little puppy that I wrote about on this alien planet or whatever, this would be the kind of the victory cry, I guess, of that narrative, because like I don't know, I guess I wrote this song from like the perspective of someone who's finally just ready to like take control of themselves, like even if they're not like ready to just like go at the world with the confidence that it takes to like I don't know, like survive just the climate, survive the world that we live in. There's been times in my life where I felt like I was too fragile to live in this world, you know what I mean? And I know that sounds dark or whatever, but like I felt that before. And so I don't know, I think at some point I looked inside myself and I said, you know what, Sean, you're never going to be weak ever again. You are going to be strong, even if you don't want to be strong. You're just going to power through and do the things that you don't want to do. That way you can become a stronger person and you can face the realities of the things around you. And that's really, I guess, what this song's about, you know. And so it's that leap of faith that, you know, this little character I'm writing about has taken to make their lives better. And I think this is definitely the only song I like deliberately wrote kind of about this narrative. And you know, I even included the barking up the wrong tree lyrics at the end to just as like a little stupid pun, because like, you know, it's a dog that I'm writing about and he's barking up the wrong tree. But that's what, you know, it's saying, like living life like I'm barking up the wrong tree. And the ending lyrics, of course, being like, barking up the wrong tree, you want to see a sign, but all that's left is you and me. I'm not a wise man, but I know how to breathe. The cycles take control of our lives, and you know this. And so like there's obviously like hopelessness that go into the lyrics here, but like the hope comes from that hopelessness, you know. I put a quote from the beginning of this song from, you know, you guys know my favorite show right now is the Midnight Gospel. I put the quote in there from the last episode where he asks his mom, is like, you know, like you I know you can't deal with heartbreak, like it's like impossible to deal with, like how do you deal with that? And his mom just says, you cry. That's all you do, is you cry. You're hopeless. You just cry. You feel it. You feel it and you don't ignore it. And so I feel like dealing with emotions that way, just not ignoring them, just dealing with them, feeling them as hard as you can and crying about it, is the most hopeful thing you can do. Because another thing that they say in the Midnight Gospel in one of the episodes is that you know, you go through your life just hoping, constantly, just hoping. Oh, I hope she takes me back. Oh, I hope I have a good day at work. Oh, I hope and you set all these expectations for yourself, and you never just allow yourself to just feel what's going on. And if you just stop to hope so much, you just feel hopeless, I feel like you'll be able to start to feel what you thought was being hopeful, and be able to like really see life for what it is objectively. Once you stop saying, oh, I hope this, I hope that, I hope, you know, the cycles take control of our lives. And you know this, there's so many things that are outside of our control. There are so many things that we'll never be able to like manipulate in our favor. And so we need to just let go of the hope that we have and just be able to like see forward and see straight and just walk towards the things that we want to do with no expectations in the way. So that's what this song's about. I talked about last week. I don't want to get into it too much, but I will never not take a chance to shout out Friend Zone. I made this beat as like a tribute to Friend Zone. I did my best Friend Zone impression. Friend Zone was a production duo from East Bay, California, in like Oakland, and they worked with Main Attractions. They worked with Young Lean. They worked with A$AP Rocky. A big influence to me growing up. And I was listening to Friend Zone a lot when I made this beat. Just trying to reminisce and celebrate the life of James Lawrence, a.k.a. LVC, who was half of the production duo that died for unknown reasons to the public. And I don't know. I just wanted to make a beat to honor the memory of them, because that was just something that meant a lot to me when I was discovering hip-hop, was finding Friend Zone's production and really realizing the crazy and abstract ways that you could take hip-hop production. So rest in peace, LVC, man. And we'll just move on, I guess, to the last song, Fairweather Pillars. Time paradox, watch me leave camouflage. Eyes closed, lace boots with the pair of socks. Deals made, time flies on the second hand. Burn the page, feeling stale on the reprimands. Real friends take a bite of the bittersweet. I take notes of the ones that put me on my feet. So going forward with this narrative that I'm talking about, that I loosely base this EP around, and like I said, I completely understand that this does not translate. Like, it's not very evident that there's a narrative going on here, but I wrote about the bitter feelings that this character was going through, having known that they've been treated a type of way for so long, having known that they could have done something to stop it for so long and they never did. And that related a lot to what I was going through at the time. I had been wronged by several people at this time, and I was just tired of people being a part of my life, people acting like they cared about me, people acting like they cared about me and my friends, and when they were just there whenever things were good and things were smooth sailing. And the minute there was like turbulence or anything, they just were nowhere to be seen. And the minute that there was any problem with them inside their own selves, like, then they just shut down and they weren't ever there for anybody else. They only wanted to work on them and their problems. And I understand that. I understand wanting to just recluse yourself and be able to like deal with your own problems yourself. But the thing is when you, I might sound calloused saying this, but when you like expect help from other people and you receive help from other people, even when your friends and your loved ones are going through stuff themselves, but they take the time to help you through your stuff, and when you're going through something yourself and they don't take the time to help you through your thing, I just get bitter with that, man. And so that's what I'm talking about, Fairweather Pillars. Like, when I say I give farewells to Fairweather Pillars, you know, pillars are a support system. Pillars support you, but like, you know, I would never be around someone who's going to support me when it's easy to support me. You know what I mean? I needed someone who's going to be there to support me even when it's not going to be the most fun, exciting thing to do. And the thing is you don't realize who in your life is one of these quote-unquote fair-weather pillars until the going does get tough. And then you have to make that distinction, and you have to make that choice to cut off the people in your life who are treating you toxic. So that's what this song's about. A lot of the lyrics in this are super personal, very bitter, obviously. I really love the very end, where the lyrics come in saying, time flies when your mind is being compromised by yourself, and you don't even care. Pack your bags for better days. Oh, look, you're already there. I could make up every story in the book to save a life, but when problems turn to cautionary tales, you have to let them die. And that's something I'm gonna, you know, I've had to learn recently, you know, this year, and that's something I'm gonna have to like take into my life going on, is that like some people are just gonna be there for you when it's easy. Some people are gonna be there for emotional support when it's like exciting or maybe a project or something, but like it takes a real friend to actually be there when things are difficult, even whenever like other people outside of you are looking at your friendships and they're looking at you a certain type of way, or they're looking at your friend a certain type of way, and you stick by them. To not care what's going on around you, and to not take into consideration the way that other people think something is when you know the way that things actually are, it matters. It matters, and it matters to stick by the people that you consider your support system. And I think I'm talking kind of vaguely about personal things that I've been going through or whatever when I'm talking about this, but that's what this song's about. Alex Rincon sent me the beat to it. I talked about it last week. Alex Rincon is in the band On Better Terms and does really, really great lo-fi beats. If you look up Alex Rincon on SoundCloud, you can go listen to all of his excellent beats. And we've been looking to collab for a while. He sent me a beat. I sent the song back to him. He's like, this is dope. And then I just messaged him and I was like, do you mind if I put this on Bandcamp? He's like, not at all. So I just did. And I did. And the release was free because obviously there's the Grand Theft Auto sample in this song as well. And so there was just too many samples on here that I didn't want to mess with clearing any of them, and I wanted to just put it out on Bandcamp for free, and I wanted to just give people a little something before I put out my album sometime this year, hopefully this year. You know, I'm not going to put it out if the pandemic is still raging and is going to affect my numbers and everything as much as it has been, because it's like this project's going to be really important to me. And I definitely want to put the maximum amount of effort into it. So that is Sketchbook EP. We might, do a lyric by lyric dissection next week or something of one of the songs. But until then, I mean, that's just it. That's the show. That's the SDR podcast, baby. Another one in the bags. Episode 32 or 3. I don't even know. But I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad that you shared this time with me. This week, I wanted to end with some new music from Owen. Owen has a new album coming out very soon, and the new single is called On With The Show. It's the second single from Owen's upcoming album. You may know Owen as being Mike Kinsella from American Football. His solo project is something I've been listening to a lot this year. And a little bit of last year, and just I've been listening to it constantly for probably the better half of 8 to 9 months now, and it's really calmed me down. It's really kept me in a good headspace throughout all this stuff that I'm talking about, and so wanted to give some love to Owen. Wanted to play his great new song, On With The Show, and that's it, man. Take it away, Owen. Thank you all for listening. We'll be back next week with even more exciting friendship and news. Bye-bye.
This is the role I was born to fade. Crucified villain. Memorized my lines, taught myself to cry. So on with the show. I've got a reputation, fucking up to uphold whatever reservation I had before. Have no more. This is a code for which I could not break. To the bone, to the heart, to be taken to my grave. Thought you'd gone eventually. On with the show. I've got a reputation, fucking up to uphold to my imagination. We've been here before. Recognize reminds me where I should be. This is the role I was born to fake. It's not a choice I made. So on with the show. I've got a reputation fucking up to a home.